Listen, I just want to call out one person.
And I hate myself a lot.
But stuff. You're getting punched in the dick.
There needs to be more Street Shark references.
I say who?
That's funny as hell.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Underqualified and Overcompensated podcast. Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain. It was already set up to 4-quad. That's not my fault. That's StreamYard. We have a very interesting show for you. You may or may not have seen the sneak peek. I'm a magician. You didn't see shit. I am your host with the least most, always riding that train of sub-mediocrity until someone pays attention enough to make me happy on the inside. I'm Rhodes. And to my left, in a new location, always beautiful, always just building me up from the bottom, Rico. But the man who keeps you down, the power bottom of the show, and honestly, your heart's Firth, down below.
Listen, as happy as I am to be the power bottom of this podcast, right? Supporting the two of you, I feel like tonight I need help. I think the two of you need support, and I would like to bring in a fourth member of this team.
A fourth member, okay.
That's what I would like to do.
This has never been done before.
No, it's never been done before. All right.
No, I'm kind of a try concern. I don't like more hands being involved. It's a lot more for me to pay attention to.
I understand, but I think we can do it tonight.
Do you have an idea of who may or may not be that right fit in the whole of this show?
I would like to say one of the greatest singers and songwriters that we've seen in this. How long have the millennials been alive? I don't know.
How long? A measurement of time.
That time frame I don't know boomer math either. But that time frame, I want to take the greatest singer and songwriter of that time frame and put them in right next to me. Can we do that, please?
I think we may be able to do that. We may be able to do that.
Oh, hey. Wait.
Hey, Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? You stripped the right from an American, but leave it locked and loaded for the Taliban. Hey, Joe, where you going with that blood on your hands? I heard you say it was on the news. You're the president, the buck stops with you. Now there ain't no mommy and there ain't no dad, 'cause you wrapped them up in the American flag. 13 kids but you stopped the war, and there ain't no sense going back for more. 'Cause hey Joe, we did it, 81 million votes. Hey Joe, where you going?
Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to introduce to you our guest, our honored distinguished guest, as Firth laid out that red carpet and dusted off the knee pads.
The greatest.
The greatest.
Here I am.
I'm not going to attempt your last name out of respect. Not going to attempt the last name because I'm going to fuck it up. Brad from Solo Artist, 5 times August. I appreciate your music. I've been listening for years. I know Firth has mentioned that he really likes the songs that we're going to discuss today. Welcome to the show, Brad. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing great. Thanks for having me on tonight. And it's Skistimas is how you say the last name. Yeah, it sounds like it's spelled.
All right, that is a lot better than I was saying it in my head and also out loud.
That's okay. What were you
Yeah,
going to
it was
say?
like mid word is just a stroke. I think it was like Skistimas.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
rough.
Yeah,
Hey,
it wasn't going to go well.
It's
I was
better
very
than most
concerned when I
people.
stole your bio from Wikipedia. I mean,
My bio from Wikipedia. Oh gosh, what's that say these days?
Nothing terrible so far. Well done. So,
Yeah.
who fucked up Road's face? I got sunburnt, you cucks. Okay. I'm bald. I don't go out in the sun. I work in a clinic. I went out for an M4 range, burnt the fuck out of my nose, and now it's scabbed over. Okay,
It
Grant,
happened.
you beautiful fuck. Yeah,
Happens to the best of us.
as it does. I mean, the Army doesn't let me get a tan anymore, so I have to do what I can, just stand in bright lights.
Yeah.
So you, so when did you start off? I know your first album that kind of came to my attention was in 2007. So when did you start off?
Yeah. I started 5 Times August actually right out of high school in 2001. So it's been 20 years now. And like, when I was like, realized like, oh crap, like 20 years, that's like a really long time. That's 2 decades. Like I'm an old man now, but at the same time, I'm like, and I'm still here. That's pretty great. So,
what would have been like if your band actually made it that far?
Yeah, that's what it would feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been a journey for sure. I mean, I started out right out of high school. I knew that's what I wanted to do was perform, and I just did local coffee shops like you do when you start out. And the most interesting thing I think as over the last 2 decades is knowing where I started out at 18, and you kind of have these big ideas of I'm going to get my radio hit and my record contract and become a famous superstar. I wanted to be John Mayer essentially, and
I mean, who wouldn't want to be really?
Who wouldn't want to be John Mayer? But like, as my career kind of grew into its own thing, I started accomplishing more as an independent artist. And by the time I was meeting with record labels, about the time that you might have found me, 2006 and 2007, I didn't really need the record labels anymore because independent music was becoming its own thing, and the internet was a great tool to get your music out there. And I was doing enough on my own to where it wasn't really interesting to me to get on a record label where there's so much control in what you say and how you present yourself, and which I'm really grateful for now at this point in my career, because we're at a point where artists should be speaking up more and speaking out and talking about what's happening, and not very many of them are. And I think that is due to contractual obligations and certain investors and labels and things like that. So it's kind of it's been a wild ride, but I'm glad to be exactly where I am right now at this current time for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, one really cool thing that I did read is nowadays artists have so many different avenues to go to. SoundCloud, they can be self-produced and put it themselves on Spotify, much like we are with the podcast. We obviously don't have a producing team, and we just kind of put ourselves everywhere. You were the first unsigned act to get distributed through Walmart without an actual production label, which is insane back then.
That was what I read too. That was nuts. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, back then that was like a really big thing. That was my goal, because I was on the road a lot, and you'd stop at Walmart's and I'd pick up a CD and I'd stop in and buy, a CD or two and for the road. And I started getting this idea in my head as I was playing more shows and my music was getting out there. I was like, I wanted to be at the forefront of independent music. And I was like, I want to be in Walmart stores. I'm not just some guy that wants to be in Walmart stores. Like, my music's getting out there, so maybe I could start talking to them. So I was, did research online, found out who to reach out to distribution wise. I sent them an email. It took me 2 years to get the right people and to have some back and forth. And then one day after, pursuing it for 2 years, I get an email from the distributor for Walmart, and he goes, "Hey, I'm interested in, getting 5 Times August album into Walmart stores." And so, and what was funny about that was the email, and a lot of the activity at that time was, no matter who I was dealing with contract wise, they always thought there was a middleman. And so when they reached out to me, they thought they were reaching out to my management.
I did that when I reached out to you. I did not expect to get an email from you and another person that I assume just worked with you.
Yeah, which is my wife, and she's been the other teammate. I mean, we've been a mom and pop operation sort of ever since we began, before we even got married. And so we were traveling in a van together throughout our 20s. We were doing colleges. Like I said, we went back and forth across the country for over 10 years, driving ourselves. She sort of would handle
She's been in it with you the whole time.
She was in it with me. She
awesome.
was essentially the management side. She would handle the contracts, the booking, set up the merchandise table after the shows, and handle all the business stuff that I didn't really want to handle. And I got to do all the creative stuff. So, I was thinking about, I was writing, I was thinking about, album release stuff, music video concepts, how I wanted to sort of present myself. And, so it was always kind of just her and I. And when I did take sort of a step forward and try to work with other companies, it never worked out. And it was always a big blow financially, because you're investing in people that just don't care, that they don't care as much as you. And, you find out, I mean, I did end up working with people in the industry where you're just sort of like, oh, I'm glad I'm not in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the outskirts of it, and
you get to work with them, but they don't control you. You get to kind of do your own thing.
Right. And I mean, even this year, though, like I became a Grammy voting member this year, which a few years ago would have been an amazing accomplishment, something that I would have been like, cool, like I'm a Grammy voting member now. And at this point in the game, I'm like, yeah, but it's really not. I mean,
does that just mean that you've reached like a high enough level? Like, I've never heard that before.
How does that
how does that happen?
How did you achieve that?
Yeah, because I don't get a card that says vote in the Grammys.
I want to vote.
Right. Well, it's basically who you know, and people can submit you as a voting member or as a member to the Grammys. So I've worked with producers and other songwriters and stuff, and they sort of have to refer you into the Grammys and fill out this thing and say, well, they've accomplished this, that, and the other. And I had some friends that submitted me, and it was kind of like, by the time I got invited, it was like, congratulations, you've been accepted as a voting member of the Grammys. I was like, all right.
I guess I'll do it.
Yeah. Like,
all right.
Okay.
Let's
but
spoil it now.
That's nuts.
Who's your pick?
Yeah.
Artist.
Yeah. Who did you pick in this latest Grammys?
Who would I pick? I pick myself to win something, because I know
right
now.
Oh yeah.
Because I know that what I'm doing right now doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
But what's funny about it, though, was I did a kids album last year. I released a kids album. That's what I was kind of doing in the interim between not knowing what to do with 5 Times August, and then the pandemic happened, and I was doing a kids music project called the Juicebox Jukebox, and I recorded an entire album, made videos with my kids and my family, and I loved the project, and it got submitted to the children's Grammy consideration. And when they announced the nominees, I didn't end up getting into like the final 5 nominee thing. But what ended up happening with the Grammys last year in the children's category was the 5 nominees that got nominated. Out of all 5 of them were white pop artists, and 3 of them decided that they didn't want to, that there wasn't enough diversity in the nominees. And so they wanted to pull out. And so they left 2 of the nominees left to vote for. And it became such a messy thing where I was like, I'm so glad I didn't get nominated, because I would have been thrilled to have been nominated and then get this phone call from the other artists that would have been like, hey, we don't feel like there was enough diversity and we're going to pull out this year. And it would have just tainted the whole entire experience.
We're pulling out, and you should too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you get that social cancel pressure.
Yep.
Sounds super well.
Right. And so it kind of put, because on my end, I'm like, I just went through this process. I know how an album gets submitted now. I know the effort that it took for you guys to go through with this. You got nominated and you made it. By voting from your peers, your industry peers. It doesn't have anything to do with diversity. Most people don't even know what you look like. This is based solely on your talent and your skills.
Yeah.
You made it. And now, you have the gall to be like, no. Let me back out now. So
That's nuts.
Grant with the top comments there. So
That's nuts.
we'll get into your latest song, which I'm all about. I love it. But Grant, one of our top listeners, a good friend of ours from Germany.
He's basically the fourth Uno.
He kind of is. He watches every time he listens. He's been on the show a few times. Great dude. He's got a question for you. Rico, you want to take that?
Grant is interested. Your thoughts on artists that don't write their own lyrics or music, but sing other people's work and win awards. Is that something you feel comfortable discussing?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
not a big deal.
So do you write a lot of yours?
I write my songs. I've always written my songs, and I've done a few co-writes over the last couple, I don't know, 20 years. I've had a few co-writes in there, and it's not something I'm against or anything like that. And I wouldn't be against anybody singing my own songs or anything like that. But as far as artists, I mean, that formula has been around for a long time in music. In the 50s, in the 1940s and 50s. You had songwriters that were like an arsenal of songwriters. They wrote the hits, and then you would find the artist that would sing that song. I mean, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, they didn't really write their own songs, and they took their these songwriter songs and presented them as Frank Sinatra's version of that. And so I'm not against anything like that. These days it's a little silly because there's not much substance into songwriting. So, you might have a song that you go back to the 1950s and you have these beautiful lyrics and these wonderful arrangements orchestrally made, and they're timeless songs, and you had one or two songwriters that wrote those songs. These days you have like 8 co-writes for a song that's like baby, 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 I want you, I want you, I want you.
Hey, I wrote that.
Yeah.
I've seen that and I'm like, what was the deliberation? Like,
right.
I'm a minor musician. Like, I've written music before.
Yeah.
And shit was just me. So is that what had to happen? You had to have 8 people to come up with that one chorus, which is the same word 9 times.
Very hard.
I think you should do one more baby in there. That's my contribution.
Can you rhyme May with
producer credit?
Yeah, can you rhyme A with May? Can you just add that in there?
I don't think that's possible.
And it's really silly how a lot of that comes together these days. But I miss a lot of my, I don't know. I kind of have an old soul with music. I grew up listening to my parents' record collection. I love music from the 50s and 60s and even going back before that. And that's why Bob Dylan behind me, he was such a big deal at the time because he wrote his own songs and performed them. And that was a new thing, a relatively new thing for a popular artist to do. There were folk guys that sang and did their thing, but that's what made the Beatles different too. They wrote their own songs and played them. And I kind of like that idea. There's a lot missing from music today that you don't get from that timeless music. Playing in a room together, getting the right take in a room where you're performing and you capture a performance. It's not necessarily first we're going to record the drums and get them real tight and lockstep them in with the beat.
If there are drums.
Right. If there are drums, it'd be like, usually now it's a pad. It's some guy going and it is what it is. And I've made music like that before too. But now I'm at a point where at the beginning of this year, I was like, I feel like people need something real, like something that's just raw and not polished. And now I'm recording these acoustic songs in my bedroom, just like I was 20 years ago, it's funny because we're talking about my journey here. And I was telling my wife the other day, like, it's been it's weird to be on one side of the coin. You look at 20 years and you look at the bookends, you go, oh, I was in my bedroom recording songs by myself at 18 years old. 20 years later, I'm in my bedroom recording. What have I done in the last 20 years? Have I accomplished anything?
Well, it's a nicer bedroom.
It's a full circle.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, but at the same time, like it feels so appropriate and cool and right to me right now to be able to do that and not overthink it. Because the last song that I had released before I started doing my current stuff was a very polished, optimistic song about us all coming together. It was called We Are In This Together. I released it at the beginning of the pandemic and everybody was saying, we're in this together. And this was just before the George Floyd stuff happened. So like I wanted to put out some sort of song that was going to make people feel good about, what's going to be on the other side of us, this quarantine thing we were doing. It was very early on in the thing. And
Before
I
true
think that
despair went into place.
yeah. But that's really what happened, was because I put out
Where
this
the dumpster
song.
caught fire.
Yeah. And I put out this song and I'm like, okay. And it did nothing. And then George Floyd happened. And then as the year kept going on and on and on, I was like, I don't even feel like putting out any music now. Cause it's just so exhausting. What can I say right now? There's too much happening. There is a dumpster fire. Why should I sing about it? And then, towards the end of the year, I sort of was coming to the conclusion maybe I should sing about it. I've sort of behaved myself over the last 20 years and trying to please everybody. I didn't like picking sides. I'm in a very liberal industry too, music industry. I've got friends on both sides of the aisle, and I've always been very I've been very tolerant of all my friends over the years. I don't care what you think. I just want us to get along and be friends. But then at the end of the day, when I started voicing my opinion, I started dipping my toe in the water as we do on our social media sites, and I'd say something, and then all of a sudden, somebody that's known you for 10 years is mad at you and they're no longer your friend anymore. And I'm like, me, but you just completely shoved everything I've ever, anything good about me to the side because you have one sliver of disagreement with me. And now I'm the worst thing ever. And so every time that would happen, I felt more and more like, you know what, I'm already labeled. I'm already there. So why don't I just speak through my music?
Why don't you say something about it, right?
Yeah.
What was that song? Because because as soon as you said that, it reminded me, it was one of your, it's not Jesus What Happened. It was I Will Not Be Leaving Quiet. It was one of those things. It was one of your songs that talked about I'm not going to be silenced. I get it. I don't agree with the mass majority of you, right? Because you're loud. You're the ones who are in the news and everything like that. And that's one of the songs. Two of your songs hit me, man. And I think it was that. It was that where it was just we're destroying friendships. We're destroying relationships. Why? Because of politics?
Yeah, right.
You're doing that, not me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who has my views and you have your views. That's fine. I can get along with you. And you're the one who's saying
that's the main thing of the show from this show, we've always wanted to start because we're very political points and even non-politically, we have different points when it comes to religion and stuff like that. And we're all fairly different. And we come together to discuss it, just the three of us, but we open it, but that's why we do the show live, to open up to other people. Right. And we completely accept the point that we may be wrong, but we just want people to talk because through discussion, things can be better. And I love, and I love a lot of the songs that you put out and the latest one because you're using your platform to create that discussion, to express what you're trying to talk about. And music, I think, is a expression of love and sadness and depression and happiness. But also it's a great way to express discussion and intent upon something, which a lot of people obviously nowadays do not use music for that. They don't want to talk about anything. They just want to fucking yell it in your general direction.
Like big booty hoes. I mean,
you know what? I love
baby.
I love big booty hoes as much as the next gentleman next to me.
Who doesn't?
Yes. That's not hate on the hose of the booty, but that's so one of the main things I love about your new song Joe, which has been doing great so far. Yeah, in the ratings and in the viewership. One thing that I love about it is that from your latest stuff, and especially since one of your most notable songs that I had listened to, obviously as a kid, was Better With You, and so that's kind of what I know you as, right? You kind of what your childhood was, and then I heard Joe, and the song structure was different, the song style was different, and I liked it, and it was much more pure, as you said earlier, much more kind of honest and feeling, and it was that folksy tone to it of just you and the guitar, and I thought that was fantastic. And then I listened to it the first time, kind of heard it and heard the overall, and then kind of went more into the lyrics. And so, what was your motivation to write this song? I mean, We can guess what the motivation was, but
And now it's time for the disclaimer. The views.
Well,
the views represented by the underqualified and overcompensated does not reflect the military and or the army in any way and or the
or
service
any
members facing
organization
it.
that may
I
institute
love that.
ECMJ. Go.
You'll have to just.
We're
flash
still
up-
liable.
just right in the middle across the screen.
Yeah. Do not kick us out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was working on another song, and
By the way, that was the song that we played at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen.
yes,
Just
Joe
a
is.
snippet of it.
Yeah, Joe's the latest song that I put out, and
Mhm.
I had been working on another song, and then everything was started unfolding in Afghanistan, and it was just so disheartening, and I just was mad about it, and I just I was just too distracted to focus on the work that I was doing otherwise, and these images started coming in of the soldiers that we lost, and you're watching the people trying to get on the airplane and stuff, everything that was happening. Heartbreaking. And so I kind of wrote it to vent and vent for myself, but I was like, surely I know there's people out there that need to hear this, that have no way to express this. And that's something that I've learned through these songs that I've been writing, is like the first one that I put out this year in January was called God Help Us All, and that was a crossover point for me as a songwriter, because I really stepped over a line with my listeners, and that was a scary thing at the moment. And I got some kickback from that. I got messages from longtime fans that were like, "I'm so disappointed in you. I'm not going to listen to your music anymore. I'm deleting it from my Spotify." This, that, and the other. But for every one message that I'd get like that, I would get 4, 5, 6 messages from somebody else, a new fan, that would be like, "I just found you. Thank you so much for speaking up."
That's a good ass song. That's a good ass song. Like if that was that was so fucking good.
Thank you.
That was really good.
So I've been listening to it constantly, not just because of the show. And,
and
to be honest, I honestly just haven't heard a lot of your stuff as of late.
I did it because of the show.
Firth did,
Firth did watches for me. Just saying.
Firth did a deep delve as soon as I said that I was going to have you on the show, and I hadn't heard your music in a long time. I don't listen to the radio; I just listen to Spotify now. So if it doesn't pop up, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
And when it did pop up and I listened to it, like it was awesome. The memorial you did in there for the 13 soldiers, like that was, of course, that hit me, and I thought that was fantastic. And it's just. It didn't seem to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it didn't seem to me as a critique or a diss upon the president of the administration. It was more like a letter of concern to like the current state of the country and our impact on the world, and kind of being like, hey, bystander here, what the fuck is going on, kind of thing, in a more eloquent way.
Right. Yeah, I think that's been sort of the backbone of all these songs is reflecting back what is literally happening right now.
Yep.
Like in a way that, our culture is driven by, our entertainment, so to speak. If you look at, a lot of where we're at right now, culturally speaking, it lines up with how entertainment has sort of degraded over time anyway. But I feel like I have an opportunity, and other artists do too, for sure. There are other artists besides me that are starting to speak up, but we have an opportunity to sort of change the tides and get people that wouldn't have the conversation with you about these things to actually maybe watch a video or listen to a song that might make them think in a different way. And that, there's a lot of people that are just fine and happy with Joe Biden. They think he's doing a great job. I personally don't think that. And I feel like what I presented in the Joe video particularly was how I view him and how a lot of America views him. Yeah. And I think that it's important to present that kind of other side to people, because the argument is that everybody's in their own echo chamber right now. And but you have one echo chamber that's willing to actually question what they're thinking, that wants answers, that's seeking truth, and you have another echo chamber that is deflecting. truth and reality. They don't want to have the conversation. You've got one side that is willing to talk to you. The other sides would rather block you and cut you out and just call you a conspiracy theorist or an extremist or whatever the label is.
They'll call you a Nazi or anything like that.
Cancel you,
Right.
if you will.
That's what I mean. Is you can have that conversation and say, I want to have this argument or this conversation, and they don't want to do that. It's about labeling that.
Right.
And that's what some of your music videos have done such a good job of. It just focuses on that. It's like, well, wait a minute. I'm that person who wants to have that conversation. I want to hear your side of the story.
Yeah.
Right. And you're not. You just want to label me something and throw me in a corner and ignore me from there.
Yeah.
Which your music video was another cool thing, because I listened to it 1,000 times and then watched your music video. And like in current days, the music video doesn't matter to the current music, right? Like back when we were growing up, like the music video was like insightful into the music. Or when you were growing up, fuck you.
Never seen a music video.
No.
I watched MTV when I was younger. Thank you. But nowadays it doesn't matter. And then I watched your music video, and it gave me more insight into the song.
Brad's YouTube videos are super insightful. Like the song is a little bit different when you see the photos and the videos and stuff that's incorporated with the music.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
It takes a lot of courage to put a song out like that.
Yeah.
Even though,
especially nowadays,
chronicling the situation, and you're not like just attacking, and that's ballsy.
Mm-hmm.
People are afraid to even do that these days.
Yeah.
So,
and for someone who's been fixed, I respect that.
Well, I think that what was I going to say? When people come across Joe, I think and I think a lot of people expected this. They were expecting me to just make a sort of a mockery of Joe and just kind of just go, I don't know, more parody or something like that.
He doesn't know.
That's what I thought.
It doesn't matter. He does that by himself.
When I was first made aware of this interview,
I
was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. And then I listened to it, like I said, 150 times. And I was like, oh, this is
well, it kind of tricks you.
Not mockery.
Right. It kind of tricks you because the video starts off with him playing the song on his phone.
It's so good.
I love
there was
that.
no way I couldn't not start the video that way.
It was either that or him licking an ice cream cone. Like,
right. So you watch it and you kind of got this grin on your face, waiting. Like the most consistent comment I get with the video is people saying, I started off laughing and I ended the video crying because it was so sad. And it starts you off that way, like, because it is kind of a joke in a sad way.
mm-hmm.
But that's what I like about it. And the truth about the videos too is that, like, I don't really know how they're gonna enhance the song till I've done the video. I do the song and then I know I'm gonna do a video. So I was really pleased with the way that video sort of came into to shape, or I don't know. I was kind of happy with it, but I also didn't know if it was gonna get removed from YouTube or something like that.
That's
and
what I'm saying. It's
still doing okay.
It is ballsy as fuck. Like, you have views and they have not taken it down, because if they take it down, I think there's going to be some repercussions at that point, right?
Well, the challenge is with what I want to do is create something that you can't take down. The challenge with
I dig it.
Presenting something with, as art and an opinion and freedom of expression, which all of the social media websites like to pretend that they're all about. Yeah. Your voice is unique. Use it on our platform.
Don't say anything about COVID, though.
Nope.
Right. You'll get flagged. You'll get demonetized.
Yeah. Now we just got banned. Grant's been like, he's been zucked like 3 times on this show specifically, just shitting on us.
Yeah.
Una member.
Well, and I've had my own battles with that. I mean, just today, the second song that I put out in this series was called "Jesus, What Happened to Us."
Oh, it's so good.
So that video was released in April, and it was approved. Said, I've got an email from YouTube saying We have manually is the key word there. Manually
Okay.
reviewed your song. It is approved
Interesting.
for all advertisers, right? It was approved. It's good to go. 4 days later, I got another email from YouTube. Manually reviewed again.
Crazy.
Not suitable for all advertisers.
Crazy.
So I couldn't monetize the video. And then
Whoa!
4 months later, last month, I got an email again saying
Good point, Grant. It's motherfucking bullshit.
That's exactly right. And the whole time, they pretend like, oh, well, it's against community guidelines or whatever. But 4 months later, then I get the email that they're age restricting the video. You have to be 18 years or older to watch it. So I entertained this game, and I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to air out my grievances on Twitter with with Team YouTube, their account that goes back and forth. So I started posting. I would say, hey, Team YouTube, thanks for reviewing my video. Have you checked out Childish Gambino's This Is America? Because it starts out with him shooting somebody in the head, and he also mows down a church choir.
He also shoots children.
Right. So that video's okay. No age
This is
restriction.
America.
Yeah.
It's catchy, though.
I also don't mind that song. Like,
No, it's
when
not.
you deal with it and his point of it, but I understand your point. Like the video itself, yes,
right. The point is no age restriction, monetized, been up for 3 years,
That's
800 million views.
That's nuts.
And their email to me says, we understand that this can be disappointed, but our job is to make sure YouTube is a safe place for everybody. And
I've been on YouTube.
Have you seen Cardi B's last 5 videos? I don't know, because they're hundreds of millions of views, just like Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
And it's not that I want those videos taken down. If that's fine, but set a standard and stick to it.
Yep.
Is my point. And
that's not what it's about.
Well, their videos are not Childish Gambino's, but like Cardi B's, they're nonsense. They don't matter.
Right.
Well, there's a story there. Let's keep.
It's a terrible story. It's like Twilight.
Tell a story.
And like yours, they tell the story and they have a meaning. And like in that story alone that you just said, what happened was, knowing the bureaucracy of bullshit, is someone read it and reviewed your video manually and went, "This isn't bad," and approved it. And then someone more important up top was like, "We're gonna piss off a lot of people this way. Our stocks may drop. Now cancel that." And then it came back to that person like, "What the fuck? Brad's gonna be pissed."
Gonna go watch Black. Yeah. Pick up on that. Oh man, but no, I think there's trolls out there, and there's people that are mad at me for writing this kind of music that have known my music, prior, and they might have watched the video and reported it and caught their attention again, and or whatever the case may be. But the other side of this story is that I'm in charge of my videos, and that video in particular is just clips. It's news clips and viral clips. I can interchange whatever I want in there. So over the last 2 weeks, I have uploaded 11 versions of this video trying to find out what is wrong. Because I'm like, no, you don't win this battle, YouTube. I'm in charge. I'm going to figure it out. So I would make a video. A new edit of Jesus, What Happened to Us. I would upload it. And what set me off was it was immediately. It didn't even have that sort of little time frame, but it was immediately flagged with age restriction. I'm like, wait, you didn't even watch the video. You didn't even
more booty shaking.
Yeah, I need more. So here's the.
Was that the next edit? You just put a bunch of twerkers in the middle of the video.
So here is the end of the story. So 11 edits later, today I upload Jesus, What Happened to Us. It's finally approved with no restrictions on it. Some of the scenes I replaced with. There's a little section in it. I've got clips from Childish Gambino, Cardi B, and Lil Nas X videos.
Up!
Oh my God!
Shut up!
So that's the way to do it.
As someone who's been beaten down by the army, Grant knows perseverance as much as we do.
Amazing.
That is perseverance.
Good for you. Good
That's
for you.
awesome.
I will play
Work
their
that
game.
system.
Yeah.
You won, fine sir.
Yeah. No. You got him.
Well, we'll see how long it lasts.
After we're done.
I watched it on YouTube today. It was great.
They'll come back
Did you
around.
see the clips of the Childish Gambino in there? Did you like?
I didn't notice that. That's the one where the
was it like Fight Club? Like it was just a real click?
No, yeah. That's the one where you slice in like the World War II vet pictures.
Yeah.
That's
it's so good. It's so in the middle of the song, in the middle of the video, it talks about like what happened, and it shows pictures from like World War II, and it's like, oh, when we were actually proud to be a country, and then it shows Americans. I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, but burning American flags. And my wife, who is not American, is going, are those Americans burning American flags? And I said, yes. And she goes, that's ridiculous. Don't do that. And I went, Roger. Like it was that thing where you see these pictures from World War II and you think about like that generation, right? Which is my grandfather and some of my family. And then you think about what the fuck we read about. Can you imagine those people dealing with these problems? Right?
Oh gosh, right.
It's so good, and it makes you think about it, and it tries. I'm not going to say it puts it into perspective. It puts it into perspective for me, but it tries to put it in perspective for people who are not thinking that way.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved that video, because it's like, hey, this is what these people did. And this is what we're dealing with. And I think that video was also the one where were people shouting at their phones, in the beginning of it, and they were leave Britney alone or some shit like that, or I don't give a shit.
Right.
Should leave her.
Well, we're so maybe not us, but there's this generation now that's so self-absorbed, staring at themselves through the phone that we did have grandparents that fought in World War II, and we heard those stories growing up, and we had that perspective to reflect on as kids that sort of laid a good foundation for us moving up. Now you've got a generation that, let's say, now Rhodes, I know you're younger than us, but maybe you have
I'm a fetus, apparently.
Right. But you do have these kids that are in between 20 and 30 now that didn't really have those stories to grow up with, that perspective, with those grandparents, with that sort of generation that really went through actual hard times, that had to deal with no food for a week, or no heat for a week, in the Depression, or months even. And
I was lucky, but my great grandmother, she was born in 1912. And we were very, very close growing up. So I was like next to her hip, because I'm a history buff, and I just loved hearing her talk. So me, luckily, I heard those stories. And I appreciate that stuff. And then like my grandfather died in Vietnam, so I have that as well. But like I'm with you. The shit that older generation went through, and then the stuff that the current generation complains about. Yeah.
And I've maintained this over the last couple years, but we lost one now. Now I'm holding.
He'll be back.
He's taking a quick second.
No, but I have this, the thing is, this era of time is the greatest, most luxurious, easiest time to be alive. But we've caked on this crap that that this generation is zeroing in on. They have it so good that they can't even decide, what their sexuality is, or what, how they want to present themselves online, or whatever it is, like. There's so much confusion about who we are and what we want out of life. And like, it's becoming like this tiny little thing where you're reading articles online, like, is my dog gay or something like that? And you're like, why are we having this conversation? Like,
my dog is actually trans.
Yeah. Well, you will read that article, these are real articles that are out there now. These are real discussions that are important to people. And, I feel old when I hear this stuff, because I'm like, what are you doing? Did you ever open up a history book and read about World War II or the Great Depression? Do you know what those people had to go through? Do you know what a hard life actually is? Because you're doing all this on your iPhone. The fact that we all have these amazing little computers.
Phone.
I know, like that.
I'm so oppressed as I sit in my apartment,
right,
with water and light and a house on my phone. and some kid in like Ethiopia is reading this shit, like, the fuck?
Yeah, right. Like I maybe it makes me sound like a boomer to them or whatever, but like it's
Great.
true. Like we have it so easy right now that it's ridiculous the things that some people are zeroing in on. And that's all, you know, you see on Twitter and social media all day is this. They're taking this tiny little nothingness and blowing it up so everybody talks about it, and we're all distracted and not fixing any of it. We're just sort of like, can you believe that today it's this thing, and then tomorrow it's another thing, and then the
We're
next
just
day
bitching about it without any solutions.
right. And now we're really getting into a weird situation where we've got to really step up the bar, or we're going to end up like Australia is right now. If anybody's paying attention to what's happening in Australia.
Ruskies over there.
Oh man.
Would you say that is why it kind of motivates you with this latest music that you've been doing? I'm going to switch back over there because that's what we started with, OCD. Would you say that's kind of what moved you towards this current music? Obviously, due to the acoustic, kind of going back to the roots kind of thing, but kind of more, I wouldn't say political, but like personal outreach in your music. Is it because you're seeing these things that are different in the world, and you're just like, as a creative person, as a musician, you feel like you need to put it out, but then you're kind of hoping that people get reached by it. And
I'm a failed musician. I played bass horribly till I messed
we're
up.
all minor musicians.
Now I've got 2 ukuleles, the most accomplished besides you, Brad, Firth.
Yes.
I think what happened was, you know, towards the end of 2020, and we're looking at the world. I'm a dad now, and I'm going to be 40 in a few years, and I'm kind of like going like, you know, like what kind of future am I leaving my kids right now? What will they get out of reflecting back on the content that of my art and the things that I created? And I don't want to look back on this time and feel like I played it safe. I didn't offend anybody. You know, I felt like if I'm going to say something, I'm going to say it now, and I'll never regret that. And I think that we all should be taking that step right now, because there's a lot of fear in getting fired from your job or losing friends or family for speaking up. But we have to be willing to risk everything right now, I think, for our freedom. You know, I think about every single person that's ever fought and died and paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. I don't think that they did that so we could all just keel over within 18 months from out of fear of what our government's telling us. That's just my opinion. But I don't think that was, you know, the reason for paying that sacrifice. I think that now we have to fight for it for those, you know, those people that paid that sacrifice. So, that's how I feel with my music. I've enlisted it for this time. It's what I have to offer. I mean, I had friends that, you know, signed up for the military after high school because we graduated high school, and then September.
They had nothing better to do in life.
No,
Yeah. No, but like
No,
I graduated high school in 2001, and then we had summer. It was great. We didn't really know what we were going to do. And my closest buddies right after 9/11, you know, they enlisted, they went, they fought, they were in Fallujah. They came back with stories. And, you know, I always felt inadequate, you know, hearing these stories. I'm like, gosh, you guys, like, I can't believe you've gone through that. You're heroes to me. Like, I couldn't have ever done that. So at this point now, I reflect back, and I think that that's something that also triggered me with the song Joe, was like thinking about everybody that's ever been over there the last 20 years and the way it's been dismantled so quickly, so poorly. You know, I'm upset for those people, my buddies, my friends that, you know, lost their friends and everything. So, you know, I feel like now, you know, now's the time to speak up. I shouldn't be afraid to. That, you know, there's people that have paid, you know, that have lost more than I have. You know, if my music career ends over a couple of songs that offended some people, well, I'll figure out something else to do. But
it's not going to do that, because I saw your YouTube views, and it's doing just fine.
Well, so with that, with your comments on Afghanistan and the 13 deaths there and everything else, that was something that spoke to me because we've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
And obviously as soldiers, and then having, like, none of us have deployed over there. Rico went on one spicy vacation in the general vicinity.
I mean, it's mild,
Yeah,
spicy.
it was a mildly spicy. It was like a Taco Bell, like, hot sauce. But we obviously felt that, and we try to stay. Sometimes we get lost in the path, but sometimes most of the time we try to stay active in the veteran community and outreach, veteran suicide, and I'm a part of a organization called Reverent Warriors, which deals with veteran suicide, and kind of bringing humor in the darkness is their slogan. And there was a lot of talks when this happened because veterans, like, we spent 20 years there. Like, and that was a big thing. And I appreciate that you mentioned that in the music, because it showed that someone did care. Someone who's not accompanied to the community, someone who's not tied to it. Yep. Us saying it, like, people expect us to say it. My wife to say it, my family. Someone like yourself, you just have friends that you care reasonably about. What was that?
Well, I think we shit on it reasonably.
Well, of course, which they also expect us to do.
With respect.
Yeah, 80% of our viewership is a veteran, so, like, they're doing the same thing. But that's a major thing that I appreciate in a lot of your music. It's a level of heart and consideration that you don't see in a lot in nowadays.
Yeah. Have you heard the new 5 for Fighting song? So I released Joe, which was a comment, on Afghanistan and Joe Biden as president. For, like, after that weekend that Joe came out, there's another guy in another band with 5 in its title, 5 for Fighting. He released a song called Blood on My Hands, which was also a commentary. So you've got 5 times August releases Joe. 4 days later, 5 for Fighting releases a song called Blood on My Hands. Now he's a Grammy Award winning artist. He actually had some, major radio hits you guys have probably heard.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see somebody else actually speak up, with a little bit more clout in the industry. I'm always on the outskirts, so it's kind of like I don't really make a dent in the industry conversation or anything. But when you see these other guys that, actually have, they've done a little bit more, or maybe they're a little bit, they've been around a little bit longer or something like that. It's cool to see. I mean, there's guys like Eric Clapton speaking up now and releasing songs. Van Morrison has released some songs. And those are the guys that you hope would speak up, like all the 60s revolution guys that were supposed to be
for them.
Right. It would make, that's what they did in the 60s, was speak up when times needed to be, when there needed to be a commentary through art. And that's another thing, again, that drove me to write, was like, I'm looking around going like, where is everybody?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a rebel, but now I am, apparently, for speaking out. But like, I would never have considered myself to be a rebellious folk songwriter by any stretch of the imagination a year ago, just a year ago, even 6 months before the first song, because like, I didn't see myself being a statement kind of artist. But the longer it went, and I'm like, gosh, where are my music heroes speaking up? They're not saying anything.
Someone has to say something.
That's why.
And you decide. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So ballsy, because
it kind of is. Like, I'm not. Like, no one's trying to put you up on a pedestal or anything, but like, yes, like when you're looking around and saying, "Where is everybody?" and then you decide to go, "I'm gonna step out." Like, I am. No,
I can't have my masters be shit on.
Yeah, like that's fucking rad.
Yeah,
that's fucking rad.
We're greatly appreciative of the song. Real quick, we're going to take a small little 2-minute and 48-second break. I want to play the whole song, just let people see it and hear it. And then we'll be back, ask some questions, get down deep into your soul.
Okay.
And we'll be good to go.
Sounds
so we again, if we didn't say it before, greatly appreciate you being on the show. This is fantastic so far.
Yes,
my day has been shit, and I'm having a great goddamn time.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Muting everyone.
Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? You stripped the right from an American, but leave it locked and loaded for the Taliban. Hey Joe, where you going with that blood on your hands? I heard you say it was on the news. You're the president, the buck stops with you. Now there ain't no mommy and there ain't no dad, 'cause you wrapped them up in the American flag. 13 kids but you stopped the war, and there ain't no sense going back for more. 'Cause hey Joe, we did it, 81 million votes. Hey Joe, where you going? Why you moving so slow? They'll prop you up on the TV screen, but forget your job. What flavor ice cream is that? And hey Joe, where you going? Do you even know? Come on man, not a joke. Here's the deal, the country's broke. You ain't no leader and you ain't the boss. You wander around like you're fucking lost. So check your watch, turn your back, set us up for the big attack. 'Cause hey Joe, we did it, 81 million votes. Hey Joe, so where you going with that gun in your hand? And hey Joe, where you going with all that blood on your hands?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Joe single by Brad from 5 Times August. Fantastic. Again, we fucking loved it.
That was
Jumping
super
into
awkward for me because I was singing that while the guy who wrote and sang the song
is on the show.
was on the
Yeah.
show.
I didn't see it. I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
You
I'm
fucking fanboy.
thankful for that because I
So-
looked up and was like, holy shit, he's here. And
So a weird thing for me is that just like, so I'm like I said, minor musician. I'm like church singer. I'm a worship leader. I've sing in churches. That's where they allow me to sing. That is my level of progress, where people are okay with me croning at them.
And only there.
Only there, right? And so being the musician I am, being able to barely carry a tune and also play the guitar, and then not only listening to music and appreciating it, but then having you on the show and then hearing your voice, I'm just like, fuck, I am not good at one of my passions.
You know what, though? That's okay. That means you're the real deal, because I still feel that way sometimes, too.
Do you have those moments when you like hear other people and you hear yourself?
Yeah, all the time. It's part of just the whole thing of playing music. I mean, you know, I still have the guys that play guitar 100 billion times better than me, and I'm like, I suck. And then there's songs that I hear that I'm like, I'll never write a song that good. Even with like Joe, it's nice to hear all the nice things that you're saying about it, but like when I'm writing it, I'm going like, oh, I don't even know if this is any good. You know, I'm writing it. I think it's okay. I'll just put it out there and see. Hopefully people like it. But I think that's, you know, it's good to have that anyway, because it'll make you better, I think, in the long run. Even if you're never satisfied, you'll still be progressing, because you know that, you know, I feel like I suck, so maybe I should get better.
I think that is a key level of someone with success, is they
People
don't,
are
you know,
wrong,
take
yeah, 'cause
themselves.
like ejaculating to it, you're fine.
Yeah. We pretty much just fellatioed the shit out of you during the show. But I mean, I
It
think
sucks
I
to
think
be
as someone,
you. Like, tell us how great your song is.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really great. The
people who
moment I
do-
finished writing it, I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
I've never finished harder.
Like people who do great, like they're generally they're humble and they don't feel that greatness, and I think that's a trend. But so right off the bat, coming from a group of people who picked a different name and what they tie themselves to, it took a little bit for me first to figure out the name, and even now people are like, really, that's fucking long. And we're like, shut the fuck up, it's great. It makes perfect sense once we explain it to you.
Mhm.
Where was your influence for the name of yourself and 5 times August, and then your influences kind of to start music? Because for myself, it was like early 90s country music. Rico's a big Beatles fan. Firth listened to like Enya or something. I don't know.
Bass, just
What do I listen to?
Enya.
I don't know what that is.
it's in your
Nobody
mouth.
knows what Enya is ever.
Enya naughty places.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the motivation for the influence for the name, and kind of what got you interested in music? My dad was a musician, so I always had it around. So was it kind of the same for you, or?
No, I found a guitar in the back of a closet at home that we had. I guess we had moved, and I don't remember what happened, but I found this guitar in the back of a closet in our front entryway, and I didn't know we had it. And it had one string left on it, and I had found out it was my grandpa's guitar that my grandma had bought him as a gift, like in the late 70s or something. It ended up being my first guitar. Now, I was already sort of into music. Looking back, if you look at like my old home videos or something, I noticed I was like, I always had a Walkman in music. I always had headphones on. I must have, early on just been gravitated towards music, but it wasn't like I came from a musical family. And so I was already sort of into the Beatles. I asked my mom if I could take guitar lessons. I remember taking that guitar to the shop, and the guy strung it up for the first time, and he goes, ring, and, played a chord for the first time in front of me. And I was like, I want to do that. And
Beautiful sound.
I want to go to there.
Yeah. So, and I went to lessons for about 6 months, and then we moved again, and I taught myself guitar from there. And then throughout high school, it just became more and more important to me. And by the time I graduated high school, I was like, this is what I want to do. I have to do this. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to, I knew I wasn't going to go by Brad Skistimas, because it's just a mouthful. You're not going to remember it.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You're gonna remember it.
Stop. Call Capitol Records right now. They are going to sign that name.
The latest hit from Bradley Skistimas.
If that didn't go
Oh my
towards Christmas
God.
music, I don't know what would
Did that man have a stroke? It's a great song, but
That was such a good impersonation.
that was great.
So, yeah, if you think you're the first person that didn't want to say my last name on a podcast, no, you're not. So, but I knew that was going to happen. Like growing up in elementary school or something, the first day of school, it was always like, skis, what? So, long story short, I was like, I got to pick out a band name, and like, it was cool to be a one-man band back then. It was like Dashboard Confessional kind of bands. 9
To be honest, I thought there were more of you.
Yeah, a lot of people do. And
Up until I invited you, I legitimately thought that you were a full-size band. Like, I was like 3 years ago old when I learned that Owl City was also one fucking dude.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So like when I messaged you and it was like Brad Skistimas from 5 times August, I was like, oh fuck, it's just him.
That sounds like a manager.
I was like, for one, that makes the show a whole lot easier in framework. But
Right. Could imagine all the boxes right now.
There's 9 of you. You're an 8-piece orchestra.
Yeah. No, so I came up with 5 times August based on my birthday. It's August 5th, and I just had these different ideas written down. Like, I don't remember them now, but 5 times August sounded the coolest at the time, and it stuck
works
with
like
me
phonetically and like sound wise. It sounds
Yeah, I dig it.
great, but it's like sometimes
it
you just
works.
hear things like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus is one that I've always been stuck
That
with.
has
in life.
never made
Ugh.
sense to me.
It's awful.
It hasn't, but it sounds
Awful band
correct.
name.
That's the
No.
worst fucking name.
No.
That's why they
Why
had
would
one
you
album.
compare that? Oh, it's
Because
awful.
that's
I would rather
nonsense.
listen to
His makes
Brad
sense.
Skistimas over Red Jumpsuit.
I would take his last name
Apparatus.
repeated 5 times over Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Waterboard
First
Music
off-
Skistimas over Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
First off, Face Down was the anthem of my freshman year, so you
Oh
old fucks can
my
go
God.
fuck yourself.
I mean,
I don't know what I
not
don't know.
judging. You do you.
I don't know what
But-
Face Down is, but
So
I'm
what
interested.
was one of your main musical, like you said, the Beatles, Bob Dylan earlier. Who would you say, like, give me the top 2 or 3 of yours? Because, like, I would say Garth Brooks and the Beatles
No.
in different sections, but those are, like, my all-time favorite 2 people to listen to.
Yeah.
It's not Garth Brooks, my guy. It's
Yeah.
What's his face?
What's
His alter ego,
My favorite guy to say.
Chris Gaines?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, is that his
Gaines?
His alter ego in the early
alter
thousands.
ego that he got?
I don't know why I got a damn Rico and what?
Yes, it's not a thing about my generation.
All right.
We love Face
All
Down,
right,
but either way.
we're
So
getting
what were
sidetracked.
your 2 top
Yeah.
3?
Well,
bands?
The Beatles made me want to play guitar for sure.
Okay.
But before I picked up an instrument, I think it was Michael Jackson. I used to dance like Michael Jackson as a kid.
Fuck yeah.
And that was like I was really in. It was like one of those things where like I would close the door in my room and I dance like Michael Jackson. And then my mom signed me up for dance lessons in 5th grade, and I was like, I don't want to do this, and I was embarrassed about it. And then later on, NSYNC came out in his boy band heavy times, and I was like, oh, I should have stuck with it. I'd be breaking in the dough right now.
You're like, I fucked up.
Yeah, I could have. I just needed to stick with my dance
Justin
lessons.
Timberlake isn't shit.
Yeah, I could have been Justin Timberlake, but
I'm getting a
I'm
very
not.
Timberlake vibe from you. Just kidding.
Yeah.
If only I had Disney interested.
Yeah.
But I
That's
think those
awesome.
were the first 2, things that artists that really got me into music, that made me. I think I was always interested in who was the top of their game. When you think of like an entertainer, you're like, can't get any bigger than Michael Jackson.
Yep.
And then what's the best band in the world? Everybody always says the Beatles, and they're at the top of the game. And it wasn't just like, oh, they're big and famous. It's just that they were actually good at what they did. And there's so much to learn about those artists where they were the best because they always were trying to hone their craft. That's what made them good. Is Michael Jackson studied his influences all the time. And that's what made his dancing so good. He took every piece of those dance moves that he loved about the, Fred Astaire and guys like that. And he turned them into his own thing. And then you've got the Beatles, who took a lot of their R&B influences and made them into their own thing. And that's what I've always loved. And that's kind of what I've always done is, I've taken the things that I've loved and turned them into my own thing. And I just try to sort of keep that, approach with my own music. Hopefully I can keep it up for a little bit longer. If they don't cancel me.
I think you're doing well.
You're doing great. So far, you haven't been canceled. I keep waiting to see you like pop up on Fox News. Because I would have thought they would have jumped on Joe like a hot fucking second.
Right.
Well, they should've.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're missing out. Like I might send it to them.
Yeah, send it their way. I'd love to be on Fox News to chat
Like
about.
Dog the Bounty Hunter
All right,
was just
Brad
on
said
there. I
do
think
it.
you
Let's
can
go.
go. Yeah, full send, guys. But so do you feel like your music in the future is going to kind of lean more political or outreach work, or you just kind of, I guess, in a
Was
cliche
it
way,
a
like writing with your heart and your
sensation,
passion?
or this is what you're about?
I have kind of.
Like, are you going to Toby Keith it?
What does that mean?
Like
I
pure
don't-
political America,
don't
like
Toby Keith
music?
I don't.
Go
think
Toby
so.
Keith it?
I think if I tend to focus in on something too much, I'll feel like I'm just repeating myself. But like,
Mhm.
I'm at a point now where I feel like my music has something to say. It has purpose right now. It is speaking for other people. And as long as I will never sit down to write a song where I go like, like, oh, this is really gonna be a hit, or this is, really what you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
even with Joe, it seemed like I was like, I kind of wasn't sure if people would take to it because there was, but at the same time, I understand why. There's this little sort of niche thing about it that, people are looking for.
That hits people. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's sort of, I'm still uncertain about that when I put my music out there. And I kind of like that. I've never sat down and been like, it's time to write a hit. Yep. It's time to write the radio single, or it's time to do that.
You're not sitting at the piano, like, it's like, all right, let's crack out a Grammy, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. How can I satiate everyone?
Because there are people looking for a voice, and maybe you have a story, or
a representation.
But it doesn't lean towards these fucking like extra motherfuckers. So it's like it's a rough position to be in. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like that's kind of something that I've kind of wanted to hone in on. I've realized I'm in a unique position where I don't have a record label. I'm not worried about getting fired from a job. If I lose a fan, there's other people out there that want to hear what I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm saying something that's important to me. I feel like, I just have a lot of substance and purpose to what I'm doing right now that I can move forward, no fear about it. And it's not my first social media rodeo either, where if I get canceled off of one platform, there's other ones out there. And, I think we all just need to move forward right now. Just completely no fear, balls out. Like, let's go. Let's get through this.
Yeah.
Because
I'm all about balls out.
I like that. I am fucking triggered by balls
pants.
out. I like it.
That is our new shirt with our logo. It says "Continue forward, balls out" on the back.
Right?
It's my next song. For sure.
Oh, do it,
please!
I'm serious.
Can I get like
That's
1 second, like
great,
a quick like Fight Club cut of my face?
You're 100% right.
Yeah, just add Rico in the music video. As we come to close, I love the question. So as we come to close, we have some random bullshit to throw in your general direction.
Okay.
Oh Jesus!
Right.
Why would you?
And because you have these are Rico's questions, and because you have a flash cup, I'm going to ask Rico for this reference. What is that comic? Is that the White Knight when he like throws the daggers and he goes random bullshit in the comics?
Nothing what you said was from comic books.
Okay, none of those things were true. That was the Jim Beam talking, and I apologize.
Sorry, you were watching Grant Gustin on the CW and Low Key Family.
So, Rico asked you about Bucky Bang Bang. I'm not even going to explain that.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Rico asked pink hole or brown hole.
What? No, what are you doing with your
I'm reading your questions.
These were joke questions.
We are live on the internet. Let's cut that shit off now.
Kraft macaroni and cheese or cheese and macaroni?
Hold on. Okay, go back. So...
Oh, he's bold.
Let's
keep him.
I mentioned it to see if you would glide over it or not, and I appreciate that.
Are you sure you want to go back?
You said pink or brown hole?
Yes.
I may or may not have.
Why not both, guys?
I appreciate your dedication.
I'm only committing to the question because I told you before the show that you couldn't offend me.
You didn't have to do that.
That's
These
fair.
were literally
That's
joke
fair.
questions.
That was the only reason why I asked.
I apologize. Don't blame Brad. Blame Rico. Cancel me.
It's fine, guys. It's fun. I feel like we need to not be offended by things. I posted a video on my Facebook the other day, yesterday, of what's that young girl's name that's fighting for climate change all the time?
Oh, Greta Thunberg.
So she just did a speech.
Yeah, she did.
She was like blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah.
she was really angry.
Yeah. I edited the video to be just blah blah blah, and then the people clapping, and I posted it to my Facebook, and this girl had wrote me, and she goes, "Now you're making fun of a child," and I'm like, "It's a joke." And she's like, "Oh yeah, of course, that's what they say whenever you're bullying somebody. It's just a joke." And I'm like, "No, it's a joke because
For
it's
one,
a
I'll
joke."
never not make fun of a
Oh
child.
my god.
Well, she's 18
you have
now.
children, you know
She's
you can
not
make fun
a
of
Yeah,
child.
exactly. She's an adult. She is available for all of us to make fun of because she talks like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
All right.
long story short, I'm just saying I can take a joke. I'm happy to answer. It's fine. It's fun.
All right.
I think that we need to be those people again in this
We
in
do
this
need
country.
to be those
so-
people again, where we just need to say stupid shit to each other.
Right.
I mean, that is our existence in the military. The people who are in the military that are watching,
Brad.
that is what we do. We'll be sitting around smoking late at night and just be like, "Hey, so what about this totally random shit that should not be spoken in public?
Oh, we gonna talk about it.
Oh, we're going to talk about it in depth to detail. Like, we'll draw Venn diagrams. We can't spell Venn diagram.
Yeah,
but
no
we'll
one can spell
build
that
one."
shit.
Yeah. So there was one that you mentioned in your joke questions that you said that I thought was interesting because I also didn't know what
I
it
feel
meant.
attacked.
Have you thought about doing a song in the style of the Blue Box Blues? And as a fan of blues music, I don't know what you meant. And I feel like I'm not a fan of blues anymore.
The blue
Blue Box Blues. Yeah, Rico, what the fuck is Blue Box Blues?
It's Kraft macaroni and cheese or Kraft cheese macaroni. It was a joke.
Okay.
Jesus
I
Christ.
thought it was an obscure genre that I didn't know of that an actual musician would know.
I'm so offended.
You had 2 questions about macaroni.
Macaroni.
Yep. That's the
Rico
level.
coming out with the hard hit questions.
That's the
MSNBC is going to hit us up for a contract deal. Just saying.
Blue box blues.
They were joke
Hey, Brad.
questions.
All right.
I love
I'm
it.
gonna let Firth ask an actual question
Please
to close this up as we come to closing.
We're
Firth,
just gonna
what do
close
you-
this up, Brad.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun tonight. I'll be honest with you. Like the discussions we had was super fun.
We don't have a lot of guests, so
We don't have a lot of guests, and you
We
were
have
super
so
fun.
many guests.
No,
that's
we
purely because we have too
No.
many.
I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Whenever you would like to just get drunk on a Saturday night with the 3 of us,
You know,
Just-
if you got
just
nothing
join
to
us.
do,
would just
if you're
join
not writing
us.
Joe 2 or Kamala 1. Let's go.
Hey,
Kamala, what? Oh God,
Kamala won. Jesus. Okay. This was a lot of
It's just
fun.
him ramming his
I-
fingers up the frets. Just
That's my job.
This was a lot. This was a lot of fun. Like we discussed music. We discussed your like creative. I dug that a lot. This was a lot of fun with you tonight.
Thanks.
and for
I'll be
me,
honest with you.
it has been extremely interesting to talk to to me success, and I
Yes.
think just plainly a successful musician that has taken his passion, which music has been for me for many years. I started when I was 14, taught myself, decided to go to classes to learn more. They didn't teach me shit, so then I just continued through church and to see someone who achieved that and then doing this great things. And nowadays I don't practice. So I sit down with the guitar and I go, yeah, I'm retarded. But to be actually be able to talk to you is fantastic. We had a presidential
It was
candidate
awesome.
on the show once,
It was
and I'm
super
actually
fun.
more excited for this.
Me too. Actually, this is a great conversation. This was super fun.
This was fun.
We appreciate you being on the show. So what do you have coming up? Do you have anything planned? Are you going on a tour now that things are starting to open up? I know you're in Texas, so that must open up a lot of things for you.
Yeah, I'm getting invited to do more like rallies and events. I've gotten a lot of emails for those. I'm going to Florida in a few weeks for it's called Amp Fest. There's a lot of
Oh, Ampfest.
Amp Fest and
Rico's a Floridian.
I
All
am.
right.
I'm aware.
Yeah, so I'll be out there for that. I'm kind of writing these songs, as they come to me, and it's kind of an interesting thing to sort of get an idea, write it, record it, and then put a video out within the span of a week or two. And it's just very raw and go and see if it sticks, if people like it or whatever. And I'll
That's
just
what we do with this podcast.
Yeah. And I wanted to say about this podcast, you mentioned at the beginning how, you guys just riff and you invite the conversation. Like keep it up, because that's what I was telling you before we went on. Like, my brother and I did a podcast for almost a year together, and the only reason we had to kind of stop it was he got a new opportunity, and I'm just getting too busy for our podcast too. But the whole central theme of our podcast was to have a conversation, to have an open dialogue with people and viewers, and invite them to, share their side of things too. And we always encourage that. So, like, I hope you guys take that and keep running with it, because I think that that's like super important right now, is to have like open dialogue and be like, look, yeah, I might be wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Let's have a conversation about it. Yes. And let's stay friends. You know what I mean? Like, let's have a disagreement and still maintain. And
then walk away and just be like, hey, we're still buddies.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was we didn't explain it to you before, but so that was the building of the show. Me and Firth, in the military, you have stupid details and taskings, and they put you on them, and you do them, right? So we had to be ammo guard for ammo so we were guarding ammunition, live grenades, rockets, fun stuff out in the woods in Germany with no weapons, mind you. And it's Germany, so it rains, no shelter. So me and Firth are just out there for 24 hours enduring the bullshit together. And we, of course, are just entertaining ourselves with our conversation. And we start talking about political things, and we work together on a regular basis. So we're friends. But through that, this podcast came about because we got into deep conversations. And me and Firth on some things are on varied sides of the political conversation spectrum. And we can have an honest conversation together. All three of us can, and kind of come to an understanding. Even though we don't agree, we come to an understanding. And that's what brought the podcast. We're like, we should bring this to other people because the world doesn't have this. And so we should bring this 2 a.m. bullshit on no sleep and Red Bull. We should bring this to the rest of the world and see how it works. Yeah,
let me say this. Brad, you have been a super enjoyable guest. Like, this conversation all tonight has been super fun. I would love to have you on anytime, like whenever you get some time, and just bullshit with us.
You could have done anything else, but you were here. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would love
that. Like, we've dedicated ourselves to this. We appreciate you.
And bullshit with us.
Yeah.
You know, it would be super fun. I had a blast tonight. This was super fun. I was introduced to your music because of this, and I'm not going to stop listening. So that's awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, guys, reach out anytime. And if we can make it work, I'm happy to come back on. And
I'd love for you to.
I love conversations like this.
Yep. Exactly. Let's just talk and let's bullshit and let's talk about.
I think honestly that's when the best understanding comes from, is when you just have completely open conversation. Brad, we appreciate you coming on.
Brad, can we see that shirt that's on your 5 times?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, I will not.
Sorry, move that shirt SM7B like we don't know.
I will not be leaving quietly, which is pretty much how I live my life.
Your mic and your shirt are so hot.
Brad, where can they find?
You can get this at 5timesaugust.com.
Oh, there we go. Now he's warming up.
He's getting into that Uno mode.
Now I'm into it.
He was professional, and now he's
like, let me tell you about myself. And an hour 20, he's just.
Yeah.
Now he's like, these 3 assholes. Good.
Oh, no, that's awesome. 5timesaugust.com. You can find merch and tickets and tour dates. I found you on Spotify and everything else. They can all be, of course, buy your record through your site. Go look at his stuff, guys. It's fantastic. Brad, we loved having you on. This is you're definitely one of the better guests we've had, and one of the better conversations we had, not just with myself.
He may have been better than Dr. Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah, the libertarian presidential candidate that we had on the show, fucking somehow. And she was great, but this was definitely super great. Brad, we love you. Where can people find you?
Yes.
And where you? I asked what you had coming up, but where are you going next? Just in case people happen to be in the area or where they need to go.
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media sites at 5timesaugust. It's on my handle right there on the thing, and you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Gab, all of them. And And yeah, music's on Spotify, Apple Music,
Mhm.
Amazon, all those things.
On Amazon, yep.
Yep, it's all out there, and I have no idea where I'm going next. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Sounds like
Taking
my
it day
life.
by day. Yeah.
I like
Okay,
it.
good.
If ever you wanted to like put it on here, put it on here. Let's go.
Yep. We love you being on. Everyone love, like, share, and subscribe. As always, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you appreciating us. And as always, go watch the show, like the show, share Brad's stuff. Go listen to his song, Joe.
Yeah.
It just came out. It's fantastic. Also, Jesus, What Happened to Us? I didn't listen to it, but I'm about to listen to it right now because I've been glancing over at the lyrics, and it's fucking catching my eyes. It's great.
Yeah.
Lyrically, don't even know how the song goes, and I'm already, I already love this song. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching, Brad. Thank you for being on. Everyone, we love you. And as always, go fuck yourself.